How are we, everybody?
How are we?
How are we?
This is the first time doing How Are We in the studio since like January.
January, right after Christmas.
And this place wasn't developed at all yet, the studio, so we were doing it on that couch over there. And Aaron wasn't having it.
No, he wasn't having it. He seemed to be having some
This
of it.
feels a lot more classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the table. Although,
Black cloth table. The only thing we're missing is like the middle of a closet somewhere in Emerson on the 5th floor.
It would be a little nicer if it was curved. You know, that's my only.
We need a crescent-shaped table.
Yes.
no, I always did want to get a crescent. Yeah. So we've been talking about making this a little bit more of a permanent setup.
Yeah.
If we're going to do it more often. I know we always threaten to do How Are We's more often, and then life gets in the way. But yeah, I don't know. What do you? Nina and I talked about maybe buying cheap tables and fashioning a crescent out of them.
Opposed to just buying a crescent table?
Well, they're not out there really.
They're out there.
Not cheaply. Not at Ocean State.
I feel
No.
like you could go to a church fair and pick one up.
You got to spend $400 on a crescent-shaped table.
Yeah.
I think that's an out-and-out lie. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I also kind of would like to have the microphones that are actually on like swinging arms that are like clamped to the table.
I still think a television behind for visual aid while we're talking about
Like the one that we did over there.
That's why I thought that was going to be a potting area.
Oh.
I didn't want to mention it.
be.
I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Didn't want to hurt the studio's feelings.
Well, as is the case, whenever we don't pod for a while, I got lots of things we can talk about.
right.
But there's topical things that we could talk about. Things that happened like in the last week.
Roseanne.
So we've got here our leading researcher
Yes, the Red Cow chief engineer of research.
There's nothing I'm proud of.
Roseanne.
But I will be honest. Probably since January when Roseanne went up on Amazon Prime, I've at least watched it about 7 times over, all 9 seasons.
Really?
Oh my God.
All 222 episodes. It's on a constant roll. Like I take a nap to it. It's just in the background constantly.
How does Mike feel about Roseanne?
I think he hates it. In fact, I know he hates it.
What is it? What is it about the show that really does it for you?
I don't know. I guess it's somewhat reminiscent of
Childhood?
my household.
Oh yeah, it does remind me of the St. Lawrence a little bit. But it actually has sharp writing. You'd say like it's a
for
genuinely funny show. Because she was again, I know very little about Roseanne. I didn't watch the show when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, as soon as it came on, as soon as I saw her being like,
That's how I feel about MASH.
I was out.
As soon as I see that helicopter, I'm out.
Because it was always the show that came on after Simpsons or after something I actually wanted to watch. But did you watch it when you were a kid?
It wasn't even on Fox, man.
What was ABC? It was always ABC. So what would it have come after on ABC? Maybe like Full House on Tuesdays?
No, it wasn't on the TGI Friday. Was it Full House TGI Friday?
Well, it was for a bit, and then it ended up moving to Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Full House did for like the last 3 seasons. I've been on a Family Matters kick, by the way.
Oh, geez.
So we
You
tried
guys
pulling
need
up
kicks.
because now that's all the old sitcoms from the 80s and 90s are now streaming. So
Really, even Family Matters,
Yep,
the whole
everyone.
thing.
Every single
So
one.
I just torrented them all. They're all on Plex.
Well,
but they
you had to break the law just to stream it.
Myrtle Urkel is funnier than anything I have seen in a long
We
time.
threw on a random episode, and it ended up being later season. Carl and Urkel get turned into puppets in the Halloween episode. They're killer puppets.
Yep.
Do you remember that? And
Yeah,
the
oh,
whole motive is they
Can't
want to
believe
take
it.
the real Carl and Urkel soul. It was the worst thing I've ever seen on television.
It was bad.
really bad.
Well,
Not even like hokey bad. It was just bad.
we watched a couple of years back. They did a Family Matters retrospective with the whole cast, and they told
Half of them are dead.
no, they were actually doing quite well. What? Where do you
Still around.
Where are you getting your information? There was what's his name? John Junt, the guy.
John.
I only know Julia White. That's the only cast member I know the name of.
Reginald Val Johnson.
I know him.
The guy who played Carl. He still looks good. You knew that Family Matters was a Perfect Strangers spinoff?
I did not.
Yeah.
wait a
Harriet
minute.
Winslow is the original character.
In the reunion show, did they have the daughter that killed off after the first season or
No,
so?
they
would've been great.
They referenced her. They were like, and then there was little Judy.
What did they have to say about her? Why did she disappear? And how come nobody mentioned
They
it?
very gracefully skipped it. And you know what? You know what complicates the Judy situation even more?
That they segued Little Richie in? Like they added another kid.
No. Little Richie.
I just didn't like her.
That was bizarre.
The first season, Little Richie was a baby, a different baby. The next season,
TV magic, folks.
they cast a toddler. They're like, Little Richie grew up. No, why they called him Little Richie?
Because his father was Little Richie.
His father was Little Richard.
Little Richard. Close enough.
Wait, he actually was?
Yeah, in the show. That's
Wait.
like the singer, right?
Are you fucking serious?
He had a cameo in it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
What? The one from the 50s?
You
is
son
like,
of a bitches.
You keep on knocking, but
Yeah,
I can't come in.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
I don't think this is true.
He had a cameo in
Can't
it.
be true.
Let's look this up.
Yeah.
All right.
Little Richard, Family Matters.
If I'm wrong, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Richie Crawford.
No.
Richie Crawford. That's just,
The weird singer.
I'll say like rock star or rock and roll. I don't think he. I mean, yeah, Richard Wayne Penniman. Which is, I
Listen,
didn't know.
I'm telling you, he was in there. Either that or it was some type of vivid hallucination I had.
You're out of your mind. Little Richard did cameo on Full House. I can tell you that right now. Is that what you're thinking of?
Everything runs
Like,
together.
oh yeah, his father's Little Richard.
Could be.
I think it stands to
I'm
reason.
fairly certain I'm right.
Well, just to complete the thought, Judy did in the first episode, the pilot, she was played by a different girl.
Really?
Into the mic, please. Is that the?
There's a
sound
lot of shows that did that. Fresh Prince. Didn't they change off the mother? Oh no, they did that in Family Matters too.
in the last season? The last 15
Both of
episodes,
them, right?
different mom.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah, I think that happened in Fresh Prince as well.
Either that, they just cut out the mom in one of them for like the last part of it.
Yeah, they really just gave us a new Harriet in Family Matters and really jammed it down our throats. Like, it's fine, that's Harriet.
I guess you can get away with that.
I don't think anyone was happy about it. She also wasn't the same character. Like the mom.
Seinfeld did a similar thing for the first time you see George's father. It's a total different guy. I think the actor might have died.
Oh, wasn't
so they
he?
replaced him with Jerry Stiller.
Oh, I thought it was always Jerry Stiller.
Nope. First couple episodes, it's some random man.
Well, so Roseanne, you love it. You can't get enough of it.
Love it.
So
I
when
mean, the newer stuff, like any of the reboots, like the new Will and Grace reboot, really kind of takes a while to.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah,
Because we like
probably
Fuller.
the last couple episodes of the new seasons are decent. They start to reminisce of the old stuff, but I don't.
Gone
Did you watch
now.
the new Roseanne?
I didn't watch the old Roseanne.
Did you watch the new Roseanne?
Why would I tune in with the other 20 million people?
Everybody seems like they're all hopped up on Xanax and they're really slow speaking.
What?
Like, everybody's like affect for their acting is
No, you
just
gotta
very slow speaking, and it doesn't feel right.
Stick with Fuller House when it comes to your sitcom.
I made it through
revivals.
like 4 episodes.
We've watched all 3 seasons.
You guys are cracked.
It's actually pretty good. I mean, and by good I mean like not at all. Like it's like salt, you know. But it's fine. They have a good energy about them. When Bob Saget shows up, it's a little sad, but John Stamos still looks real good. And
Do you get the sense that they really wanted to be weaved into the story? Like they need jobs.
I think that they could have decided
25 years.
They could have decided to make them live with the grown women, but they didn't go that way. So they just show up.
Yeah, how they inherit the house.
There's a whole thing in the first episode where Danny was going to sell it, but then he ended up giving it to DJ because there's like a last minute decision not
Because
to.
she's like a struggling veterinarian.
Yes. Well, 'cause her husband like just died, and much like
Like,
the original.
what is this family doing? That, like all the spouses die.
Much like the original series, it just happened off camera and no one's talking about it.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like we'll talk about it 4 seasons in when we find a home video with the father right before his
remember that
tragic
one-
car accident.
That one episode of Full House where they're all staring at the home video.
Yes.
Of what I have to assume is the car accident itself.
Shortly after, Danny just pulls the tape apart. He destroys all evidence.
In a very special.
Nobody
Full House.
talks about the mother.
You've been watching that Funny or Die series, a very special episode.
Yes, a very special episode.
What's that about?
It's well, there's a very obviously sitcoms are very special episodes in which they tackle a specific problem, and this is Funny or Die, and they just summarize the episode basically, just compact it down.
There's the one that's like the Seventh Heaven episode where the girl joins a violent street gang.
Yeah, and it makes it. I mean, I'm sure the original episodes didn't seem that ridiculous, but when you consolidate it down, you really get to see the absolute insanity of these very special.
Like I'm a really big fan of Boy Meets World. Like I genuinely love Boy Meets World. I think it's funny. I think the characters are good. I think there's good performances all throughout until the college years. But
Which is like half the show, isn't it?
it's like 3 of the 7 seasons.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But up to then, things are
60% of the show
things are sweet.
was okay.
No, it's really true. But they did one where in the course of 22 minutes, Sean joins a cult.
Oh yeah.
Because there's like a hot girl that's in the cult, and then he decides quickly that the cult's exactly what he needs to fulfill like his life. And then shortly after that, Jonathan Turner gets in a motorcycle accident, and then Sean finds God.
All in 22 minutes.
I can't remember. So his father is like a alcoholic trailer trash, and he gets adopted by his high school teacher or something.
Yes.
Something's very off about that whole premise.
I can explain it to you if you'd like.
Frankie has the deeds.
I have the deeds.
He's
Mr.
been
Feeney
through
still
this.
alive?
He is. He showed up in an episode of Girl Meets World, and it was sad because he's freaking old. He's like, I'm here.
I was just gonna say, is there any talks about a reboot of Boy Meets World?
They
But
did
then
it.
I forgot. Yeah, Girl
Yeah.
Meets World. Is that still on?
No, it's all done.
Was it on for like 12 episodes?
I heard something about. I was watching an interview with Ryder Strong, who plays Sean, and he was talking about how it's typical for Disney Channel shows to be short-lived, like 2 or 3 seasons only, because the kids grow up. I mean, the audience,
Quickly fall into drugs.
but specifically the audience goes from like 13 to 16, and they stop watching.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's, like, so they just have to always be marketing towards like 13-year-olds. Well, anyway, Roseanne, first she gets in trouble for having the wrong political opinions, right? And so everybody was already a little bit on the fritz about like, I don't know, she likes a guy I don't like. And then she tweeted out something incoherent and crazy that had racist overtones, let's say.
What did she actually tweet? I
She
haven't
was
even seen
driven
the
by
tweet.
an Ambien rage, apparently.
The tweet, I actually, I think I got it from memory. It's Muslim Brotherhood plus Planet of the Apes equals
VJ.
VJ. And VJ is Valerie Jarrett, who was a staff member in Obama's White House. And she's black. And so now, obviously, a lot of people are zeroing in on the reference to Planet of the Apes. Comparing black people to apes is the racist thing.
But it's okay to, compare Muslims.
I'm not sure what the Muslim Brotherhood part of it is, but no one's talking about it. I don't even really know what it
Was
means.
it the whole like accusation that Obama was Muslim?
I don't know. I
just
just don't
peddling
know.
his
It
agenda?
seems like a pretty incoherent tweet, to
It's
be honest.
and if you look at her Twitter feed in general, it looks like a rambling, incoherent, crazy person.
But that's the thing I don't understand. Since what, 88 or whatever she came on the scene, like she's always been kind of known
Nuts.
as like she's a wacko. She's like openly admitted to being
Yeah, it's
multiple
not new.
personalities.
And now she's going through menopause, so
I think she's well past menopause, Frankie. She's 65.
going through it.
This very minute.
No, I was right.
Middle-life crisis.
She kind of said she said that on a talk show or something. She's like, once you go through menopause, you just stop giving a crap.
She
I
was
was like,
going
I
through
don't
menopause during season 2 of the first run.
So she got her show canceled, taken away. And
So I'm going to say this. I don't agree with it.
right. You don't agree with taking the show away?
No, I don't agree with it either. I think if people stop watching the show and the show has awful ratings, then get rid of the
Yeah,
show.
I think it's one of those things where you leave it up to market forces. Well, I mean, I think what's going on is ABC is owned by Disney. Disney is a family
Hypersensitive.
company, and they don't want things like that.
For sure, and I'm sure those ratings are a drop in the bucket in the overall picture, but still, nonetheless, doesn't it kind of give you the sense that, like, so we all make stupid mistakes at somewhere in our lives, so
Right.
there is no chance to rectify
Right.
anything.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't get any second chance. That's it.
No, it's
One
just
try,
this
you're out of
social
here.
justice
Yeah.
and being politically correct and how to react, and I think everybody needs to be reactive to everything.
And everybody knows that's like part of life now. And oops, my kid just like fell, like, but she's fine. She's totally fine.
Babies are
A little
rough.
dazed.
Babies are rough.
Let's fire her. But yeah, I mean, one thing I do want to say is like, I believe, so she said she was on Ambien, right? And Ambien came back with like this cute tweet where they're like, racism is not one of our side
Can we
effects.
just brush by the fact of like 10 years ago, all those stories like people like driving to the store not remembering on
Yeah,
Ambien,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like we're gonna act like there actually isn't an effect, but who cares? Like I do think what she did was stupid, and I think if you're lucky enough
And she
to
thought
get
so,
a
too.
second shot,
You take
I
it.
mean you don't really. Why don't you just stay away from Twitter altogether? That's
I don't know.
the better idea.
Well, she said it was 2 a.m, so Matt can relate. But I'm saying 2 a.m. on social media. You know, sometimes you get a little angry. But she also
4 a.m.
she also said it was she was drunk as well so she was drunk and on Ambien, and so people go, oh well, that means that when you're drunk and high, your true racism comes out. But she was saying, she was like, honestly, I didn't know that this person was black. I thought she was Jewish. And if you look at the person, it's not obvious. I don't think that she could be very clearly, but like it's not. It's kind of like Halle Berry. You know?
I obviously I feel like it's sparking all from. It's so polar now. Like the more and more I realize that you can't even get along with somebody who has a different view than you. You have to hate them.
Yes.
You have to discredit them in some way.
Yes.
About how their opinions aren't legitimate, and I think it's a really dangerous road we're going down.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what's happened is, like, it used to be that, like, if you had a disagreement with somebody, like, even a strong disagreement, chances are your value system was similar enough that you, like, it could be a somewhat productive disagreement. Somewhat. Like, you could say, like, we both agree that children shouldn't die. And then we could disagree about how to keep them alive. And that's like, it could be like a productive disagreement. But I think now, like, our values are actually different. Like, we're actually incompatible. It makes me wonder, like, should there just be a secession? Should there just be, like, the coasts just get...
break it apart.
I don't know. Like, we clearly can't agree on anything.
The Great Divorce.
But, it's like, my first reaction when something like this happens is to go, like, oh, man, I really hate it when, like, a moment of bad judgment or bad speech turns quickly into, like, you're fired and you're done and you're screwed and we hate you and you got to apologize.
And the same thing permeates through, like, our lives. So
Yeah.
At work, you can't misstep anymore.
Right.
You'll be fired.
Right. Yeah, but then at the same time, if somebody said, well, what if she had said, like, Zig Heil, I now worship Hitler? Like, if she said that and she meant it, like, do I think her show should be taken away? It's like, yeah, probably. I mean, or at least I could certainly understand the company taking the show away.
Yeah.
So there is probably a line. And so that's what brought us to, so there is this whole argument about Samantha Bee. Have you heard about this?
Using the word cunt?
Right. So now you might say, and I would probably agree, that, like, cunt is just sort of a colloquial insult. And,
She's a comedian.
right. And she's a comedian, kind of like the other one.
Kind of like Roseanne.
That's the other weird line we're going down is comedians are being judged for what they say. This is the whole point of comedy is that you're not censored in any way. And
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I thought the most offensive thing that Samantha Bee did was, so for anybody who doesn't know, she called Ivanka Trump a cunt for tweeting a picture of, like, her and her kid. Because there's, like, a lot of, like, refugee children who are being separated from their families, according to Trump's immigration policy. And she just kind of says, like, tell your father to change his immigration policy, you feckless cunt. And I'm like, well, that's not a joke. That's just you being angry at the camera.
But even if she,
but that's sort of the joke, right? Is being really, like, kind of
Like, blunt
crude and yeah.
Even if she is being like that, though, it's her right to do that. You know?
Sure, and it's the company's right and all that good stuff. So she turned
Comedy's so subjective. So, like,
yeah.
Some people can find that really funny.
Whose judgment is it to then say, look, well, this wasn't comedy anymore?
Well, she turned around, went on Twitter, and apologized for it. So the question is, what's she apologizing for? She didn't come right out and say what it was.
Yeah.
She just said, that was repugnant of me. Well, what she's apologizing for, let's face it, is the idea that cunt would be a sexist slur against women. So she's apologizing for being sexist, or at least using a sexist term. So then, are we weighting sexism versus racism and going, well, if it's sexist, it's okay, but if it's racist, it's not? Or is it really about, like, well, she's on the right side and you're on the wrong side?
Well, I think that we've gotten hypersensitive on racism lately.
Hypersensitive about everything.
Yeah, but
Everybody,
sexism too, though.
Sexism too is just a small step down.
I would say it, with Me Too and with Time's Up and everything, it's right there.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Struggling to feel slighted in some way. Everybody wants to feel like they're somehow being slighted against.
Marginalized.
Yeah.
And you're not even, I don't even think, like, I'm sure there'll be fans that watch this of just us talking about, this is kind of a concern of ours.
This is
and
the
they'll
funniest Toa we've ever done.
they'll probably think of us as being kind of, I don't know, like alt-right or something. So I don't know, man. So, but are you sad at all to lose a show that you were enjoying?
No, not really. I think the nostalgia of the old one is what I really love.
Yeah.
The new one, I think I might have been able to it had some hopes, but
Well, you can always go back to the old.
So, okay, Nina and I, we run into John's father everywhere we go.
really,
Yes. We see him in his car. We run into him at Target. We run into him at the supermarket. Everywhere.
Why do you run into him so much?
We don't know, but it happens once a weekend.
Really?
We cross paths with Nick all the time. And
That's bizarre because
on that door.
I don't think I've ever seen you out and about somewhere. Like when we haven't been planning to go.
we haven't run into him while we've been out.
No, yeah. Well, no, we haven't run into each other when we've been out.
No, we have.
We have?
Like maybe 3 times in entirety.
Yeah,
of our
in like
friendship,
15 years.
Yeah. But
I've run into my father going out too. not
Out
super
constantly?
often.
I've never not been at your house and he hasn't been there. I mean,
He does go out, but it doesn't seem
keep
like.
running into him every time I come to your house.
Does he always say hi? He says sees you. He says he saw the baby. And,
Yep. Well, so
Do you think like begrudgingly under his breath, he's like, "Fucking Frankie again"?
I'll admit I am slightly not because I don't want to say hi, but because it's like, well, so I'll give you an example. We were at Lee's, and Lee's carries really good deli mac and cheese, and so a large part of the point we went was to get me some for dinner. Well, Nick and I are
Taking the last scoop.
No, it's worse. It's worse. But as we're walking in, he's starting his shop too. So our shopping routes are about to be synchronous.
Wouldn't you just go to the opposite end?
Well, I wanted to make sure I could. Well,
opposite?
they were going to take it away soon, so I wanted to make sure I got it. And he walks over. The first time he sees me, it's me loading up a big box of mac and cheese, and I'm at his house a lot shooting a show about mac and cheese.
He actually mentioned this to me.
I know. I had to assume that
He mentioned, because my father very rarely will mention like something like that. But he did bring it up. Like he saw you at Lee's buying macaroni and cheese, and he thought you would be sick of it by now.
Yeah, he's like, mac and cheese, I should have known. And I'm like, oh man.
Oh man.
And then that thing and then by that point, I don't know, yeah, we never got out of step. You ever try really hard? There's somebody you've run into, maybe you've said hi, maybe you haven't. It's worse if you haven't, because then you have to like keep up the lie.
Keep snubbing them.
Yeah. At least with that first time you say hello.
Yeah, you're about to turn down the aisle, you lock eyes, and you just
Oh yeah.
bolt away.
I've been in that situation, and it makes people think, oh, they must think I'm following them, because we keep running into
Yeah.
each other like continuously. Like I've had it happen like, from store to store. Like I'll start at Target and then go to like Home Depot, and I'll see them again. It'll just be like,
I've got this guy that he's on the bus every day, and he's big and tall, and he annoys me physically.
Yeah.
Like I find him like he's always like stretching, and he's like
He's the human equivalent of MASH.
yeah. Suicide is painless. But he always wants to chat about something, and I really, really don't want to. And lately, like I've been hitting the terminal bathroom in Fall River before I go home. So I'll get off the bus, I'll go take a quick pee, and I'll
You're
go home.
15 minutes away, and you've got to do it.
Well,
Public restroom.
If
But
you,
it's not, for a pee, it's fine.
it's a quick pee.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be hyper focused on getting home. That extra trip into the stalls.
Well, in his case, there's this one time in particular where I was like, I got to send him a strong signal that I don't want to talk.
a big old queef.
I got a queef right in this dude's eyes.
Right in his eyes. Do a standing leap.
Send a strong signal.
Yeah, that's a pretty clear signal. Hey, just stand right there, okay?
Well, in the Fall River bathroom, and all the men will understand this. There's only 2 urinals. One of them's the baby one, and one of them's the grown-ups one. And I always find myself in a situation where only the baby one frees, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll use it because I'm short enough. I don't know. Like I'm sure there's such a thing as being too tall for the baby one, but I go
No,
for
the
it.
piss is going down.
And I've learned, by the way, by talking around, that women don't know about the baby and the adult urinal. By baby, I mean just.
I mean, it makes sense. Any kid under the age of 10 needs to pee.
Right.
You're not going to be able to go on your tippy toes or shoot upwards.
I was in a movie theater bathroom recently, and there was the same thing was happening, and there was a queue, and the person in front of me was a kid, and the adult one freed up, and I kind of looked at him like, "Do you want to try it?" And he decided not to, and I had to cut him.
Have you ever been into like the UMass Dartmouth bathrooms where they have like a trough against the wall?
Oh, yeah.
It literally is just a big metal.
I don't get that.
Neither do I.
Yeah,
That's a very European thing. Lots of European places.
Very
have that.
uncomfortable.
that's no place for homosexual men.
No. Well, sure, but no.
Do you guys both use the stalls?
Yes.
100%.
It's such a.
I won't be caught dead at a urinal.
I mean, I guess I'm just basing this off of you.
No,
But is this a gay guy thing?
I would use a urinal if there was a divider. I'm not comfortable. I pee shy. I feel myself closing my eyes, trying to let it flow.
Back on topic. This big tall dude. I'm using the baby one, and he saddles up to the big tall one. And he's like, and he's like, so a lot of traffic today, huh? And I
Trying to take a shit here, buddy.
yeah, I actually I didn't turn to him. I had headphones in and I was peeing, and he wants to chat. And I went, I don't know, like that. I just sent that was my queef.
That was your facial queef.
And since then, he's tried a couple of times, but I've been really...
You have
really,
to shoot it down.
Really dodging him. Yeah. It's bad stuff. But so I keep running into Nick, and I was embarrassed to be involved with mac and cheese at the time.
It's funny.
Nina's getting LASIK eye surgery next week.
Yeah.
She at this point, I don't know a lot about eyes, but I know
You made it through 32 years and you have minimal knowledge of the eyeball.
I have the basic info.
They for seeing.
Yeah, they're for seeing. And I've always had good vision. I think my last vision
Aren't you
test was-
colorblind?
I have troubles with blues.
You've got shit vision.
Do you go every year for an eye checkup?
No.
How many years has it been?
3, because Emerson will do them.
Yeah.
And they'll do hearing tests too, and I did quite well on this. We were talking recently about...
Do you still have to go through those woes?
No, I don't have to. Aaron's referring to when we were in elementary school and they would put on the giant headphones,
Yeah.
noise canceling headphones.
You'd be brought around a corner with one of these curtains
And they would say raise your hand when you hear the tone.
on either side. So you'd have to be prepared and ready to go.
Right. And there was always that anxiety of I better just raise my hand.
I think I might hear a faint noise.
Is it possible that that faint tone could have just been a
And suddenly I'm in an uncomfortable conversation with the audiologist, my parents. I need hearing aids. At the age of 10. There's always some worry that something
and
was
at our
going to
age,
go down.
when we were kids, hearing aids were not attractive.
They were so uncool.
The way
in
they-
the 90s.
That's true. It's true though. Because don't they have implants now? Plus they have the ones
The cochlear implants, those are so uncool too.
Yeah, no, I think they're pretty rad. They're pretty bitchin'. No, but they would go around the whole ear and then they put you in a special ed class.
And suddenly your stand is stupid.
Dunce cat.
Because you can't hear the pitch of the beep well enough. That all my whole life spiraled downhill after the audiology
After
test.
not being able to
To be
hear the
banished into abnormality. Well, she can't see basically. At this point, she's she's wearing glasses right now, and you can see how small her eyes are. She can't see anything.
small her eyes are?
Yeah, because the prescription lens is so thick.
Oh, yeah. They are some pretty serious glasses.
So you should call those bottle caps.
So she's gonna do it. Ironically, the two Matt and Nina are both here. Matt has gotten LASIK eye surgery. Nina's getting it, and neither of them are on mic. But the
The only people who could speak to it at all.
We could just pretend like they're here.
well, my understanding is that there's actually they actually cut your eye open.
YouTube, a damn video of it. It's a little laser that cuts a flap. They peel the flap down.
I hear it's 10 minutes. It's quick. All right, so this is CG.
This is exactly what we're looking for.
All right, so we should describe it for the audience. Okay, they're going to scrape the cornea.
Ugh.
That's the worst part, is the holding of the eye open. I wouldn't be able to make it through that part.
Why is that eye so bloody?
They give you value.
I don't care how much value you dope me up with, unless I'm unconscious.
They put you in a nice dark room, give you a massage.
It better be a prostate massage for this.
Be calm.
They actually massage you?
The one that I went to, they
Look at this.
They do everything they could to make me calm before the procedure, because when it's a safe procedure, but if you're not used to a metal thing,
The only thing that could go wrong is if you were
start
suddenly
thrashing.
they say, "Well,
Did you do it? Did you do it? Is it done?
and then we just scrape your eye open.
And then no heavy lifting for
This is all
weeks.
just looping.
So you don't
It's the
So
same
heavy
footage.
lifting.
so you don't rip the sutures of any sort. Don't you have lifting restrictions?
I don't think so because they give you big glasses to sleep with because
Those old lady ones that go to the side too?
yeah.
Is that what's in your car? Those giant cataract sunglasses? Is it really? Is that what that's for?
All right, you better look into those lifting restrictions. And maybe that's the keratoconus cornea transplants that I'm thinking of.
Okay. Well, we get it now. So, I don't know, it's $3,500 and then her terrible eyesight is completely
Will
improved.
just be 100%.
All better.
Yeah. 2020. It's insane.
you take a nap, you wake up, it's everything.
You spend a little money, you see what money can do?
Yeah, money's amazing.
Making you a better person.
Go it can make you happy. You didn't see Solo, right?
No.
It's not. So, you used to be a pretty big Star Wars fan. Now you don't go out and see the new Star
Yeah,
Wars
I did in
movie?
1999 to 2002. And then I gave it up. Dropped it like a bad habit.
It's a box wars bomb.
It was very, very, very vanilla.
I mean,
It was like a crappy Star Wars book.
Sort of going to be the future of the franchise, though, right? With like Disney's model of like pumping out something every year.
Yeah, this
Kind
and
of oversaturate everything. The same way I feel about superhero crap.
do you hear about how the it made like no money?
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
it lost money.
It made it opened at half of what Rogue One opened at.
Yeah. Well, and even that, because didn't they spent like half a budget again on reshoots?
Right.
After the
Yeah, they
teaser
ended up
director.
spending something like $500 million on the budget.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like just to I don't know solve the problem. I don't know. The movie itself was everything that happened in it you could have inferred from the original trilogy. That was the problem. So there was no like, because you would think like, all right, so what's the story then? Is it the story of him going from being like a bright-eyed, plucky guy to being jaded, or is it the story of him going from being jaded and then becoming a little bit of a better guy, which would be redundant in the original trilogy? And they kind of just did neither. They kind of just like
Here's this guy.
it's more just like the story of how he got his stuff.
We're just looking for your money.
Yeah, yeah. Jabba the Hutt's not in it.
He's not in it?
No.
Did you think he was going to make an appearance?
I thought for sure. And Greedo.
Well, I guess, yeah, you would need the backdrop to whatever
Yeah.
happened that he owes Jabba the Hutt.
I thought they were going to do that story, but they didn't. And then there's the whole Kessel Run. Remember when they originally goes, it's the ship that made the Kessel Run, less than 12 parsecs.
Is that in the film?
Was it like the pod
That's
racing
all right.
scene?
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought too. I thought it'd be like a racing scene. So the problem with this whole thing from a nerd point of view is that a parsec is actually a unit of distance and not time. But George Lucas didn't know that when he wrote it. He said 12 parsecs. So they had to shore that up in this. So they found a way to make them it's like it's flying away from a squid near like a giant space squid near like a black hole. That's what the scene is. And he ends up taking like a wormhole to get there faster. And so now it's like he did it in 12 parsecs. But it's kind of like saying like I'm really fast. I ran a marathon in 20 miles. It's like you took a shortcut.
Well, why didn't they just? Oh God! It's just what a crappy thing to make a key component of your film.
There was a lot of problems with it. Yeah, it is distracting that they're not the people that played the original characters. But
Any talks of doing something cool like Shadows of the Empire or...
How could you without Luke?
I guess so.
I think I've heard, so the plans that are on the docket right now are Rian Johnson, who made the very divisive Last Jedi, is going to make his own trilogy that has nothing to do with the current saga. Like the original director of Iron Man, Jon Favreau, he's doing a live action streaming show on Disney's streaming platform. There's the Game of Thrones guys are doing their own trilogy, I think, of Star Wars movies. And those are supposed to not have anything to do with the original saga. I think the Game of Thrones guys are doing Knights of the Old Republic.
It sounds like way
That
too
could be
many
cool.
movies. Way too many movies.
Well, at least Knights of the Old Republic would be completely disparate from... But yeah, as of this, the failure of like Han Solo, like, a character that has a lot of name recognition.
Yeah.
And, I think that Disney's going to take a huge step back.
Yeah, I think they need to. I think you can't. I think they're starting to oversaturate.
And we all knew that was going to happen. I mean, when you first heard like a Star Wars movie will come out every year, you're like, well, I'm going to get pretty sick of Star Wars.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Yeah. It's not a good enough concept for anything.
Yeah, it's kind of two-dimensional. Like
It's not like the Marvel
Empire
universe,
and, there's only so much of the same thing that you can keep doing.
If you had told me even 3 years ago, though, that like a Marvel movie would come out, then Deadpool, then Star Wars, I would have told you, oh, well, Deadpool's screwed. Because Deadpool's gonna be sandwiched between two juggernauts, literally and figuratively. Juggernauts in the film. Deadpool,
Yeah. That's very droll.
That was pretty good. But Deadpool actually performed really well and like way outperformed Solo.
Yeah, they
like
think-
Deadpool 2 outperformed the Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Haven't seen any of them.
I saw Deadpool. Oh, it's good.
Not a single one.
Yeah, Deadpool's good. Yeah. I mean, it's
It was fun.
well, Fox has taken. You got to give Fox some credit. They took 3 new directions recently.
Yep.
There was like the Logan thing, which was
That
really
was a lot of
interesting.
fun. I really liked that.
There's the Deadpool thing, the R-rated,
doing well.
and then there's like the Planet of the Apes trilogy that was really crazy. So
Some great stuff. Yeah.
just
They don't quite have the Marvel powerhouse, but they're making it on their own.
just interesting enough to sell themselves to Disney because they sold to Disney. Fox Entertainment.
Yes.
Yes.
Disney's going to own everything pretty soon.
What else do we have on the docket?
What's on your list?
Would you like a story about a guy I ran into in an elevator that I think is really funny? I'm going to tell that one. I think that's a good one.
But lay it on us, Frank.
There I am. I work in a building that other offices and companies share, and we work on the 13th floor. Most buildings don't have 13th floors. Ours does, and we work on it.
It's actually called the 13th floor?
Yeah.
Do you have a fourth floor?
Yeah, there's a Yeah, we have a fourth floor. Yeah.
4 and 13 are usually omitted from buildings.
4? I've never heard of that before.
It's a Japanese Asian thing. The word for 4 is the same word as death, so you don't have a 4th floor.
Just in Japan, right? Because I've seen a whole lot
Yes.
of 4s. I've never been in a building without a 4.
In Japan, it's Japanese.
It happens
thing.
all the time.
I think it's a Chinese thing
In
too.
Japan.
The 13, yeah. That's...
But I was taking the elevator down by myself, and we stopped around floor 6 or 7, something like that. Just as the doors are opening, this guy in a suit, I see it and I hear it. He goes, "Fuck!"
Did you respond doing the same thing?
Fuck! and he gets on the elevator and he's like, "Sorry about that." And he's like, and I go,
Tourette's?
I go, "It's okay." And then he goes, "It's pretty embarrassing, actually." And I said, I was like, happens to all of us. And time keeps moving, and he goes, "How you doing, by the way? Doing good?" And I go, "Fuck you too." And he laughed, and we got off, and it was probably the best thing. Now, my theory, I should have asked him what happened, though. You might as well, I'm in.
Yeah, you want to know the event that caused it?
My guess is it's an interview that went badly.
You think that's how you'd respond?
Fuck!
For a job he really needed.
Yeah, maybe he really needed that job. Maybe he really thought he was going to get it, and there was like one thing.
It was no one you recognized, I assume.
No.
Trying to think of what would elicit that type of reaction, other than like a loss of a big sum of money, or maybe like a divorce.
I don't know. See, I think that's from your point of view, where you're kind of a chill guy for the most part. Things don't really fire you up like that. But like, I think there are people out there that are like real tightly wound, and like they're very competitive and they're very aggressive, and
I could never picture myself doing that in public. At home, I will. Like if I stub my toe, I go.
Yeah.
But if I'm out in public, never. Or if someone's around, I will.
You would have absorbed it.
Yes, I just would have like compressed it inside.
Would have made you more powerful.
Yes. Just a little though.
There's the bus story I was going to tell.
Yeah.
Was I get on in the morning, and there's a guy sitting like maybe. So I'm on the left, he's on the right, and he's sitting maybe like 5 seats back, and then like a few seats up from him is this woman who is like really spread out, like she's like made like this whole nest that she's gonna like sleep in. Both seats are way reclined, and she's just like really. It was okay because there weren't a lot of people on the bus, right? Well, the guy is hunched over, and he is clipping his nails, and they're making big, loud nail clipping sounds, like chunk.
Clipping your nails on a bus
people
is pretty.
They feel like, I guess they feel like this is part of their commute, so
Right.
it's their space to use as they see fit. But there's certain things that should be
So
that's like-
frowned upon.
There's a viral video been going around. Of
I'm gonna
this
start
woman
shaving my pubes on the bus.
shaving her legs in a pool at a hotel. It's just.
Well, so while I found it rude, he had like big headphones on. He wasn't paying attention to a thing in the world. And this woman up that was all reclined up ahead of him, it was driving her crazy to listen to these nail clips. And so she got.
Well, how many can there be? I feel like
It's a
2
pretty
clips to a
fixed
nail,
duration
10
thing.
nails, about 20 clips.
That's what was
and then you're done.
That's what was incredible about it. I couldn't believe it.
6 hours in.
Like it was chunk. It was taking like a while between
Get
them.
off the bus and his fingers are just not up.
She would go like she didn't have the courage to actually walk up to him, make herself known to him, and be like, "Stop it, that's disgusting." So instead, she kept going, "Hey, hey, knock it off." She would like retreat back.
Into her cave.
Yeah, and then I think she would hope it was over. So she's like, "Okay, I won't have to do anything." And then you'd hear chunk, and then she'd be like, "Hey, stop it! That's disgusting. Stop it! So gross." And
How did you even video any of this?
oh man, I should have. I really should have.
Frankie's busted.
But she probably
pencils.
would have freaked out, and she looked unwell. I mean,
Sickly
like,
yourself?
yeah, she had kind of like really rough skin and like a permanent scowl face, but she never yelled. She whisper yelled. She was like, "Hey, knock it off! Hey, knock it off! Hey, we're in the library. Stop it! It's freaking disgusting."
Go here.
Chunk.
Chong.
This guy didn't care at all.
Totally oblivious.
Completely oblivious, yeah.
And this
It's like two separate scenes happening at once.
and the sounds in the clips. I was like, this dude's got to have like a 1/4 inch thick
Echoing through the loudspeaker.
Chunk.
mic feedback.
Chunk. Till another chunk comes along to reset it.
And sometimes the comic timing was so perfect because sometimes a full
Just long enough for her to start resting again.
yes. Clip.
It's like serendipity itself. Because he doesn't know the
Get up
tale
and
he's
shake toenails
weaving.
off of herself.
It's a nail blizzard. It's cold out there.
Oh, golly.
I don't know if he made it to the toes just to get more nail.
Started clipping other passengers' nails.
Opening a small nail salon on the bus.
But on the topic of bus, I did a weird thing,
Yep.
which is I gave a stranger a ride home.
What?
Yeah, I took my life in my hands a little bit. What do you think about that?
I mean, so, okay, what kind of person?
Young female.
All right, so you're safe.
Yeah,
I
pretty.
feel like you could have clocked her and gone away.
Well, so the question is, was she safe? So her name was Renna. She comes up to me and she's like, "Where would I find a cab?" And I'm like, "Well, you'd have to call them because I don't think any like."
And who the fuck uses
there's
a
no
cab
stand.
anymore?
She didn't know where she was going, but she knew it was in Fall River. And so I was like, "Well, how far?" I was like, "You're going to a place in Fall River?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I mean, it's got to be a couple miles away." But it was also too late at night and probably a little too dangerous to just walk. Maybe.
Where was she
Especially if
going?
she also didn't have a phone on her, so she had no way of navigating and she had no one to call.
This seems like somebody with poor planning skills.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's somebody.
So she walked off her bus at nighttime with no type of communication. Where she
Dave
was
in Boston
going.
all over again.
She had the address and she thought that she would see a cab, and that was her plan. So I said, "Well, how far could it possibly be in Fall River?" And
Fall River's kind of big.
she didn't. Well, but really, how far could it be? So I said, kind of out of nowhere. I got there a little early and I didn't need to go home right away. And I was like, "Do you want to ride?" And she looks at me and she was like, "You're not a creep, are you?"
That's the way to filter out people who are creeps.
Exactly.
That's how you do it.
And I was like,
These aren't rupees in my pocket.
I said, it's that or you got to walk. I don't know.
The risk of rape or a convenient ride due to poor judgment.
So we ended up, she actually was really thankful. And in the car, she was like, "So what do you do?" And I was like,
I collect body parts.
and I cut up body parts. But before we left, she wanted to show me like a notebook full of art, and it was like
God.
it was a lot of like high school aged like goth drawings of like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas and stuff.
How old was this person?
I think like probably early 20s,
Okay.
but not really prepared for the world.
The world, yeah.
And it was only maybe like 5 minutes away.
Oh.
It was on Pleasant Street, and
That's pretty
she
close.
was although the place I dropped her off, it just seemed real
Going
rough.
to a drug den?
Oh, and then the first thing she asked was, "Can I smoke in your car?" It's she's one of these people.
Like, it's not bad enough that you're already inconvenienced in giving a ride, but what else can you do for me?
People aren't calibrated. They don't
What
think
else
like, "Yeah, I
can
better
you
not."
do
I
for
obviously
me?
shouldn't smoke in the guy's car or even ask. Really,
So, I mean, you're not worried that you've set up a precedent
I never saw her
for
again.
crazy pants?
Never saw her again.
Would you just start running if you saw her again?
I would have said. I would have said no.
I mean, in the future, she should understand her situation.
You've overstayed your welcome.
This is a very quick note, but I just wanted to say, so on Instagram, I get followed by all kinds of different crap accounts,
Yeah.
like solicitors and stuff. And this, I don't know why this made me laugh, but I got followed by one called "Mommy Pregnant Baby."
Bunch of keywords.
Yeah, it's just like a metadata slur.
What's the description? Is there like a description?
Mom page. Moms do it best. All caps, exclamation points. Link in bio for mommy subscription boxes.
For pregnant baby and toddler.
For pregnant, baby, and toddler. Get yours today. And then a real sketchy looking link.
Go ahead, Frankie, click it.
Click here for your penis enlargement pills.
It's Google.
Google.
Just goes to Google.
And it seems to be real Google. Automatically blocked by location. Oh, it actually is a sketchy link. That Google
Autoblock.
Chrome did that, yeah.
Okay.
Mommy pregnant baby.
Mommy, pregnant baby, toddler.
Made me laugh. So this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while.
All right. What do you got?
First of all, I don't know if it's that I'm getting old or what, but I am really having a much harder time with young people who work service, who do like service jobs.
In what way?
I'm unhappy with how they're doing their job.
The customer service piece of being friendly back and attentive.
The customer. So like, I had like 3 bad experiences last week, like where I called ahead for like food, and they, like one of the times was this girl that was working at a Chinese restaurant, and I was like, I'll have the sesame chicken, and she was like, can you repeat that? I said the sesame chicken. She goes, okay, and I was like, all right, well I'll be there in 15 minutes, and she goes, okay. And you just know that the communication didn't happen. And then when I got there, I was like, all right, I'm going to trust it. And I really wanted to get home. When I got there, it was all wrong. It was completely, it was like pork fried rice. It was just completely wrong. And the manager was pissed off at her. And so I made a comment. I was like, I was wondering.
Called back to speak to her boss?
No, I had talked to her. I've been taking it up with her. I was like, I was wondering why you didn't ask for my name or like, and she's like, yeah, I don't know. And then like
I don't even work here, man.
and then like when I picked up the food, there was now like it took an extra 7 minutes to redo.
There were toenails in it.
Chunk. She goes,
and that girl just pops her behind the counter.
She goes, have a nice night. She didn't go like, hey, really sorry about that or anything like that. Just have a good night.
All right, I think you're getting a little nitpicky. She said, have a nice night. What else do you want from her? There is some
She doesn't
validity.
care.
Oh, I think there is some validity in being a minimum wage employee for how much you can be expected.
Yeah. Well, fine.
I
My
agree with you there.
personality, I'm all with you. I would be that type of person to kind of be as friendly as possible.
I would have been the kind of person, if it was me behind the counter, I would.
You know what? Actually, no.
I would have apologized.
I don't remember you as being overly nice at Handy Hill. In fact, you were somewhat dismissive of people.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yes.
I did a great job at that window. I was the only male that made tips.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Sexism. Patriarchy. Well, so there was in particular, we were at the Moose. This doesn't piss me off that much, but I still think it's kind of funny. Nina would order a coffee, and the same few girls, they always say it the same way when they deliver the coffee. They go, "Here's your coffee."
So tonal changes are now pissing you off? Like,
yes. Let me try it again. Here's your coffee. And
coffee's ready! What do you want from them?
As if it's a little bit of a, it's like, whoa, well, you're having a coffee.
Do you want the same enthusiasm for, like, happy birthday?
Aaron, tone matters. Tone is not an irrelevant thing in communication.
When it comes to your coffee, it is irrelevant.
Here's your fucking
The coffee got made and the coffee got delivered. I suppose I'm happy about that. But the tone to me sounds like, if you still want it, here's your coffee.
I know there's so many more heinous and egregious things going on that I'm not focused on the tone of my coffee delivery.
I wanted to...
There's people clipping toenails on a bus out there somewhere. I'm going to be focused on those type of things.
it's a nuanced little thing.
Do you think it's because there's a lot less things as you get older to look forward to, like hanging out with friends at certain events or like pool parties and things that we used to kind of look forward to?
I don't know.
Now this is where you're focused on.
Okay, so I think it has to do with age, and here's what I think it is. I think it's that...
Because we've always wondered where that transition would be, right?
I think it's that life is repetitive and predictable. And I think the older you get, the more you want to optimize every one of those boring fucking interactions. and so, like, so when things aren't optimal...
You want it to be very routine, very easy, very, like, no changes.
Like, I don't want to have to put a lot of attention and effort into a food order.
Yeah.
And like make sure, like I don't want to manage the employee. Like I just want to be able to like, I want them to have a system that works. That's all. So I'm kind of starting to be with John on some of this stuff.
Look, just give yourself a couple more years and you'll be all about bidets.
You're like, wiping your ass is just like a boring
Oh,
thing.
it is. It's just the worst.
Too much.
Don't you think though that boredom factors into it? Like after a while, you're like, well, I've ordered a sandwich 1,000 times. I want them to read my mind and have it just be done.
No.
No? You still want to like apply a bunch of effort to it? Are you purposefully not getting my point?
No,
there is no point here.
I can understand what you're talking about, but I try to take the optimization on myself.
Yeah, no,
right?
me too.
Like I'll like for Chinese, I'll give them the number off the menu in addition to the item, like 46.
Yeah.
Sweet and sour chicken. You know.
I find that annoying, but yes.
Yes, it is annoying, but if you want to get through life, unscathed by wrong orders and 7-minute delays.
I do that too, though. I do it with like when I order a drink. I'll have a diet with lemon.
Yes.
And the purpose is for them to infer that if it's Coke,
it doesn't
great.
matter.
If it's Pepsi, great.
Yeah, I made that mistake today. I said a Diet Coke, and I got myself.
Diet Pepsi?
Is Pepsi okay? Yes.
I don't want
I try to empathize with the workers.
Oh yeah.
For every good interaction, there's probably 50 shitty customers that
I
are just
understand.
nasty
I
for
do.
the sake
I
of
get
being
it.
nasty.
They get clipping their toenails in the restaurant.
I do understand, but so I've worked food service as well. I also still work service, and I think relationships are important. Although I don't do very transactional things like I'll have the chicken. Here's the chicken.
It's really hung up on this. That's gonna be chicken.
It was clearly a major impacting event.
Here's your coffee. Fuck you.
Here's your coffee. Here's your coffee.
God forbid a deaf person ever serve you.
That'd be great. Take the tone right out of it,
Here's your coffee.
Johnny. You're gonna get fired from Roseanne. The rate you're going. It's okay.
I'll sit it out.
I think that's about it.
Anything for the good and welfare?
What about says it all?
Yeah.
There's so much more to talk about. I can see from my
Has the camera
list.
been running? Do we need to stop and check it one more time?
No, we have to say goodbye now.
Hello.